Hello and welcome back to the Endurance Limits podcast. My name's Josh. I'm sat here with Darren in his living room after I received a call late at night last night. Darren informing me that I need to get round to his house at some ungodly hour in the morning on a Sunday to talk through an emerging situation that's happening in Peru that has effectively made the safest leg of the journey of our trip into the most dangerous. So I've not heard anything about this yet, but I'm looking forward to hearing all about it. So Darren, talk me through it. What on earth's happening?
Okay, so yesterday afternoon I received a call from Johnny, who is our kind of in-country guide / fixer, who lives in the jungle just outside of Quitos. He's the guy that we recruited when we were out in Peru last time. Helped us, guided us up the river, gave us a bit of information about some of the local cartels, and he's basically our eyes and ears in that part of the world. So I get a phone call off of him last night saying that he's basically said, "Amigo, we have a problem." I was like, "Oh, brilliant! What now?"
It's always what you want to hear, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So he went on to tell me a story about a local kind of. It's basically a tradition. It's almost like a bogeyman story. Mm-hmm. So in that part of the world, and certainly in that part of the jungle, there's a story that goes back generations and generations of a thing called a Pelacara, which roughly translated means face peeler.
Right.
Yeah, which is not a great start to any story, is it? And essentially, if anyone's seen the film Predator, the idea of an alien, kind of 6.5, maybe 7 foot tall alien that's patrolling around the jungle, picking people off and killing them and peeling their faces off. That is essentially the kind of myth. And the local tribes genuinely and strongly believe that this is actually the case. That there's this creature roaming around the jungle, killing some of the locals. So
how many locals are we talking about?
Yeah, and that was kind of the question I asked. And he said, no, like it's really serious. Like it's a big problem. The Pelacaras will get you if you're in the jungle in that part. They operate on the river, etc., etc. And I was like, okay, yeah, fine. I'll take my chances, kind of stuff. And he then went on to say that unfortunately, recently, the timescale was a bit vague because of the language barrier, but essentially in the last couple of weeks, a body has been found not far outside of Yuri Maguas, which is our start point. And it was one of the tribes that's been found dead with his face missing.
His face missing.
Yeah. So the body. So they found a body, and effectively his face has been ripped off. That's kind of the long and short of it. And as a result of that, all of the local tribes have gone into overdrive, saying the Pelacaras are back. They've started attacking people. Everyone's gone into panic mode. What hasn't helped is, as best as I can understand, probably a week later, a kind of 12-year-old girl has been attacked in the jungle and has sustained some quite serious injuries to her face, but she's survived and managed to get away. And when they've spoken to her, she is described being attacked by a Pelacara.
Oh, God.
So they've now got a dead body with a face missing, and also a live kind of eyewitness that this is what's happening. And pretty much like in the film Predator, it kind of, this monster, creature, alien, whatever it might be that they believe it is, comes and it maybe kills for a year and then disappears for a year or two and then comes back. And so
this is kind of like routine sightings, almost over generations of a year, couple of killings, couple of faces that it takes, and then retires back to its spaceship or back
whatever.
Into its murky little part of the jungle
and they do,
river.
The history of it is they do think it's an alien.
Oh, really?
So
you said that this girl who's been attacked has an eyewitness. What has she said that they look like?
So essentially, the description of Pelacara is between 6.5 and 7 foot tall, sort of very large built, and the issue for us is white. So the description...
And that rules me and Simon out.
Yeah. So you midgets are fine, right? But so essentially, the local tribes have gone into overdrive. They are extremely paranoid. They've actually requested the army into the area.
God.
And they've set up their own security patrols, which would seem, on the face of it, to be a great idea, right? Have some security patrols out, keep the villages safe, etc., etc. However, they're quite heavily armed. They have got firearms, and they're so paranoid that essentially anyone they see that's not a local, especially if you happen to be kind of 6 foot plus and white, is going to be suspected as a Pelacara.
And I suppose that there's like an added conflict where if they believe it's an alien, just kind of like putting 2 and 2 together, our boat, and I'll put up an image of the boat, looks a little bit spaceshipy.
It does, especially when we've added a satellite dish to the side of it. So Johnny's take on it was, actually there's a bit I haven't told you as well, is that as a result of this, a local kind of tour guide that takes tourists into the national park was surrounded a couple of days ago, and essentially they had a couple of tourists with them, white Western tourists, and they were surrounded with the intention of killing the white Western tourists. Now, this is a tour guide that knows the local people.
As like presumed Pelacara.
Yeah. And this is a tour guide that knows the local people. They've seen him before. They know his boat, all that kind of stuff. But the feeling is running so high that...
He's a Pelacara empathiser.
Basically, yeah.
Enabler.
Yeah. And he managed to talk his way out of it. But he's obviously spoken to Johnny and said, look, bearing in mind, they know me, they know my boat, I've been in there before, they've seen me bring tourists, and they were still like on the point of actually just executing these guys.
Tensions are very high.
Tensions are high. So for us, we're not going to have any locals with us. We're going to be in a boat that is big, white, spaceship shaped, with satellite dishes on the side, going down that stretch of the river. And so, but what basically Johnny said is the first 700k, 750k's that we're going to be rowing from Yuri Maguas up to Iquitos was supposed to be the safest bit of our journey. There's no heavy cartel in that area. Locals are generally pretty friendly. And that was kind of our introduction, was that we were just going to have a nice like bit of a run in before we hit problems when we get towards Colombian border.
Yeah, a bit of a warm up row, as it were,
yeah,
right? And like for anyone that's not aware, the actual official race of the race, I say, but the official world record for the previous attempt to row the Amazon River takes place between, is it Nauta?
It's just past Nauta.
Just past Nauta in Peru, all the way to Macapa in Brazil. But where it's a real struggle to get the boat into the water at that official start location, we have made the executive decision to have our boat delivered about 750 kilometres, and that's a bit of an estimation because the river changes every year. It's very hard to get accurate mapping and accurate distances, but an estimated 750 kilometres further along the river to a town with a port called Yurimaguas, that, as I understand it, is still kind of within the same county of Peru, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, basically there's no roads that go to Nauta. And so the only way to get the boat there is either to ship it from Belém in Brazil,
all the way up
4,000 miles up the river, or use the roads finish at Yurimaguas. So use the roads to come in the other side and dump the boat there. Obviously, what that means is that we've got a 750k row to the start line, which is which is less than ideal, but ultimately, if that's the way you get to the start, that's the way you get to the start.
And equally, as you say, like a bit of an opportunity, one, to get the boat in safely, there's actually a port there, so we can address any issues with the boat that might have happened in transit. We can get onto the boat, we can row. There's a bit of a 750k warm-up where we get to grips with systems, heat acclimation, and all of those things before the official world record attempt that has previously been done starts, right?
Yeah, there's also a little bonus in that Yuri Maguas to Macapa has never been done. So it'll be a world record in itself. It'll be a world first, and as you well know, with a world first, that can't be beaten. That can't be taken away from you.
Absolutely.
So,
there's a big part of legacy to something that's never been done before.
Yeah.
And I believe this is going to be the longest ever river row recorded.
Yeah, we've got Guinness looking at it at the moment, but from Yuri Maguas, from the start line to Macapa, should be the first time it's ever been done, the longest river road that's ever been done, and then obviously we're going for the speed record for the entire duration of the Amazon as well.
And we're going to get the oldest team for that one as well, right?
Definitely. Mate, like, joking aside, 100% it was the first question. Simon was like, I don't really care about those. I want the oldest team. So
potential 4 world records to come out of this one if everything goes according to plan.
Yeah.
But that's presuming that we don't get killed, one, by some face peelers,
Yeah.
or by locals who presume that we are the face peelers in question.
Yeah. So essentially what they're doing is, Johnny went on to say that security patrols are operating predominantly at night. Obviously they've got stuff out during the day, but these attacks are taking place overnight. That's the time that we're going to be most vulnerable. And yeah, essentially anything on there really shouldn't be a lot on that river at night. And so anything that's on that river at night to them is a massive threat. And if they were to find us on that river in a spaceship shaped boat, 4 6 foot tall plus white guys from a distance, he basically said that there's going to be no questions asked. They are just going to shoot you. Which obviously poses just like a little bit of a problem for us. So my immediate response was, okay, what can we do about it? How can we mitigate some of that risk? How can we make ourselves safer? We're not changing our plans. We're going irrespective. So what can we do? And he said, the only thing you could really do is have a gunship running alongside you to keep you safe. So I said, okay, you're my local fixer. Is that possible? How much is a gunship? How do we even begin to deal with that? And he said, yeah, nah. We can't sort that out.
No, as in he can't sort that out?
He can't sort that out. But the thing is, if Johnny can't sort that out, then we've got
where
no
do we
chance.
go? Yeah.
None. The only potential option we've got is speaking to the Peruvian Navy, but they're not just gonna take a gunboat and run it alongside us for 750 Ks.
Yeah.
So that's kind of done. That's not going to happen. So the next question I asked was, you told me the story about one of your friends who's also a guide being able to talk them out of the attack. So my next thing was, look, it's going to take us probably the best part of a week to get from Yuri Maguas up to Iquitos. You're meeting us in Yuri Maguas anyway. Are you prepared to come on the boat for that leg of the journey? I appreciate we're going to be lugging an extra person along, which is going to slow us down. And he basically sort of laughed a little bit and said, no. He essentially said, this is so dangerous. I appreciate that it would be great for me to have a week's extra money as a guide and just sitting around chilling, but it's not you haven't got enough money to make it worth my while.
Sounds quite serious, man.
Yeah. As much as kind of
I'm sitting here having a bit of a laugh with you because that's our typical fashion, but this genuinely sounds like a bit of a cluster and a bit of a Western tuber, to be honest. There's a fair bit of rumination and sort of deliberation that needs to happen about how we are going to get through that 750 Ks.
We've had better news. I think it's fair to say we've had better news because this genuinely was the safest and best bit of our journey. We know we've got a problem with the cartels when we get up a bit further up the river towards the Colombian border, and we know we've got a problem with the the pirates that are likely to try and rob us at various different bits as well. But the one thing we had on side was the locals generally are like super friendly, and
they want to help, they want to support. Our kind of
massively.
talk with Anton and with other people that have spoke about that leg. I've got a client who's sort of South American who has said you're probably going to find that people are going to be so supportive, wanting to help, willing, probably giving you advice on kind of where to avoid and where to go, all of these things.
So all that's gone.
If like public perception in the area changes from sort of welcoming to hostile, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal for us. And all that support is certainly for that probably 1,000k section by the time we're done, is gone. So we need to work out a way of getting from Yuri Magras to Iquitos without getting shot. And
what's your immediate like go-to? Because I know that sort of you would have probably been up at 2 o'clock in the morning last night, scratching your brain, going, well, how am I going to do this? Like, sort of, how am I going to keep the team safe?
Yeah, and I think the only thing really we can do in terms of mitigating risk is we need to be invisible, and that means we're going to have to, particularly at night. So there's very little natural light in that part of the world. It's not like the street lights. The river's very wide. It's very dark, and my immediate thoughts are if we run completely dark, no lights on the boat, nothing reflective on the boat. So the reflective stuff that we've got on the boat, we're going to have to take off. We're going to have to darken everything up, and we need to be able to see them before they can see us. Now, we've got a night vision camera mounted on the front of the boat. From IMP very kindly have helped us secure a Cyan-X night vision camera, which is now mounted on the front of the boat. But we need the rest. We need coverage of
what's
like
coming behind
the other kind of 180 degrees plus, probably 250 degrees plus. So last night I was looking at Cyan-X's website, and they do another night vision camera, which is kind of handheld, which means that if we run completely dark with night vision on the front and a handheld night vision with one person on lookout, we should be able to see them before they see us. And because we don't have an engine and we're rowing, we're going to be running silent. Hopefully we'll be able to just box to the other side of the river, stay out of the way and avoid any confrontation. So that's kind of the first thought. Obviously what that does is that creates a bit of an issue around budget, because these things are not cheap. We're already overspent, so I'm looking into that at the moment. I think that the handheld night vision is now going to be essential, basically. There's kind of no ifs, ands or buts about it. We need that kit.
And like my initial like sort of reaction to that is obviously like this was going to be the easiest leg. This is going to be the easiest stretch of like sort of the entire leg, right? And like all of a sudden you go from, because our plan was to do 3-hour stints rowing at night. Yeah. So then do you think that the two people that are rowing, you just go one person rowing while one person looks out for an hour and a half? Or do you think we have a hard 750 estimated stretch where the two that are resting only get an hour and a half's recovery, and then they switch over to keep lookout so that two can remain rowing? Is it better to get through the stretch faster and like presumably during the day it's probably going to be like balls to the wall, let's row, let's try and get through the 750k, and then at night we slow down because one person's rowing for an hour and a half and the other person's keeping lookout? Or the two that have just finished rowing their sort of 3-hour stint, they get an hour and a half to recover and then an hour and a half while keeping lookout while the other two are rowing? What sort of your immediate thoughts to that, and kind of which do you choose as a kind of pick your poison?
I think my gut reaction is, I think you're right where you said kind of balls to the wall during the day. It's going to be about how much distance can we cover during the day. Yeah,
and this is an estimated like anywhere from like 4 days to 7 days worth of rowing, right? Full 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
4 to 7 days rowing, depending on how fast is that current of water moving, how many people come and stop us and say, what are you nutters doing? Are you the Pelacaras and stuff like that?
Yeah. I mean, my gut reaction is the less time you spend there, the less likely you are to get slotted. That's kind of the long and short of it. So I think that during the day, it's going to be like really pushing for our nice easy introduction is done now. So I think we're going to be flat out from the minute we hit the water for the duration of that, definitely during the day. And then I think the night shifts from the minute the sun starts to set until when it comes up again. I guess what I'd like to do is just stay flat out, but there's a cumulative effect of pushing the team harder and harder and harder, day and night for 4, 5, 6, 7 days. Like, what effect is that going to have on everyone? Now, obviously, we've all experienced like extreme kind of exhaustion and sleep deprivation, and I've got you hallucinating things and like in the Pacific, and the problems that come with that, like. It's bad enough being under pressure, and what some of the guys on the team probably haven't experienced is the stress of fear. If you think you're about to get attacked at any time, like your adrenaline's running, like, and it's the weirdest thing about fear is that after an hour probably of being genuinely afraid, it's tiring, and like. That takes a toll on its own, and so sleep becomes even more important in terms of being able to rest, recover, and cope with that extra little bit of stress.
That kind of like mood regulation and decision making ability. So kind of fundamental and paramount to good bit of switch off time,
and
rest
you
and
have
recovery.
actually seen some of that, right? You see when Si got swept over the side of the boat, and then the first kind of 2 or 3 night shifts after that on the Pacific. You saw what that did to him. Like he's sitting in pitch darkness, waiting for a wave to sweep him over. He's genuinely like, any minute now, this could be me. And you saw how exhausted he got, how quickly, and in fact we all got, but like particularly Si, because he was the one that went over the side, right? So you saw the effects of that. Now, if you have that from the minute you put the boat in the water, that's a lot. So there's 100%. So in answer to the question, mate, the short answer is I don't know. I think we need to sit down as a team and have a discussion about it and make a plan. And the plan, everyone's got to be comfortable with the plan. My gut reaction is balls to the wall during daylight, and then potentially one person rowing, one person on watch. Allowing the other 2 to get some rest, because if you're working that hard during the day in 100+ degree heat and nearly 100% humidity and all the rest of it, like we're all going to need our rest.
You're going to run into problems very quickly there, and I think like as soon as you get say we do get approached by someone, if you're a bit jittery, if you're a bit. It just makes us look that much more guilty, right? Of like we're doing something that we shouldn't be doing.
If I'm honest, not like my concern is more around we're also going to have a plan. We're going to have a plan where if we do get attacked, we need a plan, and everyone needs to have drilled it over and over and over again, because what you don't want is trying to execute a plan that isn't like deeply embedded under stress. Yeah, I mean, what's the common saying that a lot of athletes use is that when you're under pressure, you don't rise to the occasion, you sink to your level of training. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's like so much more important when your lives are at stake and it's not a penalty-free kick or it's not like a free throw at like the end of like an NBA game. It's there's a gun pointed at your face and you're being spoken to in a foreign language with bright shining lights in your like. And I am not entirely sure that my 300-day Duolingo streak in Portuguese is going to do the job, especially when they speak Spanish in Peru. Exactly that, right? So obviously we was only going to be in the Spanish-speaking territory for a relatively short period of time, and then we was going to drop into Portuguese. So yeah, I don't think that's going to help a whole heap. So there's that side of it. We're going to need a plan. We're potentially going to need some bug out bags, maybe secured to the deck that we can just snatch and effectively take our chances in the water. I'm going to need to make contact with some of the contacts that we made down in that neck of the woods in terms of the police and the army and the navy, and have obviously we've got a system in place where we should be able to, there's a GPS locator on our boat, so they should know exactly where we are at all times, which is like massively helpful, and some sort of emergency call agreement with them. To be honest with you, a lot of that was around some of the SF, like the Peruvian Special Forces guys that we met, but they're based up on the Colombian border. So they're like a long way away.
Yeah, they're a good 1,000 Ks probably.
Even in a fast boat. Like we're a long time dead before they even turn up.
Absolutely.
So
I think one of the troubles as well, like just from my understanding of this conversation, is that these are tribes people.
Yeah.
Like in some respects, they've called for the help of like the Peruvian army and navy and stuff like that, but this is like their patch of water, right?
I think the thing that worries me most about it, right, is that the army have taken it seriously.
Oh God! As
in like and the Pelacaras are back.
Yeah.
Okay, we need like they're genuinely responding to.
And like, do you think that they believe that this like the Peruvian army navy believe that this is an alien mythical creature thing, or do you think that there's some other investigations? Like, has there been anything that's?
I think it's so deeply embedded in their culture that even Johnny was like, like sort of. I know that it's kind of amusing to you, but this is a problem. So.
And you hearing that, like, what do you think it? Because like, I'm very much like the only thing I believe is of the sirens of the sea.
Because you heard them, right?
And that's because they shit me up. But like, other than that, I don't believe in no Bigfoot. I don't believe in no Sasquatch or any like. I don't believe in a Pelacara. Like, so like, you saying that, like, you're quite similar to me, I think. What do you think it could be? Like, could it be some ruffians that are going around trying to scare the locals for deforestation,
like my gut reaction is like the simplest solution is usually the best one, right? And it's usually the most likely to be true. So maybe the cartels moving into the area or expanding in the area, and maybe they don't want the locals going to a particular bit of the jungle. What better thing to do than kill someone, tear their face off, make sure the body's found, use the history and the folklore of that area to stop people from going deep into the jungle to a bit where they're growing their drugs or doing whatever it is they're doing. That's kind of my gut reaction. Past that, mate, if I'm honest, I don't even know enough about it. I've spoken to Johnny, I've done a little bit of reading around it. That's kind of my gut reaction. That's the most likely thing. But even that, it's kind of like, well, that's not the greatest news for us either. Because if that is the case, and the simplest kind of guess is probably the most likely to be correct, then that means the area where we didn't have cartel problems, we've now potentially got cartel problems. So
either side of the coin you look at it.
I think I'd rather take my chances with the Pelacaras than the cartels, to be quite honest with you. With the Pelacaras, my view is like very much like Predator, right? If it bleeds, you can kill it. Or we can run away really fast, which is my preferred option. But with cartels, see, again, the kind of the white issue, right? Like, the only kind of white people that are in this part of the world are tourists who are usually accompanied with tour guides and stuff, or some form of law enforcement or connected thereto. So, like, that doesn't really help us either, because, you know,
we don't fit any of the criteria.
No,
right? of like your traditional white person who's coming to the area. I mean, like, is there another side of the solution where during the day people are going to be seeing us, and so these like I don't necessarily know how the area moves and how the area works, but maybe during the day we have to try to connect with as many locals as possible to
But
try
even
and
that, mate,
tell our story. And
how do you do that, right? Like we're on a boat tipping along, hopefully at like 7-8 knots, trying to stay in the centre of the river, like unless we're stopping every 5 minutes, and even then, like stopping creates more problems than it solves.
Absolutely.
So
like we need to get through that patch of water, but
that's the bottom line. We just need to get through it quickly.
Like market or like do public relations with like some tribe in the middle of the jungle. Like we can't let them know that we're coming.
No.
6 months ahead of schedule, and
one of
say no, we're not going to.
One of the questions I asked Johnny was like, okay, are we going to be safe in Yuri Magras? Because we've got to be in Yuri Magras for at least 3 days, and the boat's turning up in Yuri Magras, and then we've got to get the boat in the water. And I was like, look, like, how safe are we in the town? And his take on that was, you should be pretty safe in the town. You'll be with me. Like, we're going to be careful. There's some other stuff that we can do around ensuring your security in that town. The issue really becomes as soon as you stick the boat in the water, as soon as you push off. If we stay in the town, we're definitely going to get robbed. That's the bottom line. As soon as the boat turns up, it's like a retirement package for the locals if they were to rob us. So once the boat turns up, we need to get it in the water and get moving. And then once we get moving, we're at risk.
Then we need to be vigilant around.
So, mate, it's just loads to think about. I think the night vision thing's massive. The other thing that I've looked into is using light, kind of offensively and defensively. There's the most powerful kind of torch in the world is like 200,000 lumens, and they're expensive. They're like 700 quid each. But if you are gonna approach a boat and you've got 200,000 lumens coming back at you, like you can't see anything. So there's like, but even that, there's pros and cons to that, right? Because
that's a bit spaceshipy.
That's a bit first of all, that's a bit spaceshipy, right? Like they're going to try and beam me up.
Yeah.
I'm blinded.
Probed here.
I'm blinded by this massive light, and then put yourself in their shoes, right? If you're approaching something,
shoot the light.
Shoot the light, right? Shoot where the light's coming from.
Yeah, that's where they are.
So we're going to get Matt to hold the torch. So I don't know, man. I mean, if we need to blind them temporarily to execute some kind of escape, or just to ditch, go for a little swim and then take our chances in the jungle, that might be an option. And then there's, the other thing going through my head is, if they're just going to, which seems to be the case, Johnny's sort of saying that they're going to get within range of you and just light the boat up. Do we need some sort of like Kevlar lining to the cabins? Like, I don't even know if that's possible, but it's just a thought where if we can get the cabins lined with Kevlar, you've got almost a safe space. The minute the rounds start coming over, you've got two choices, right? In the cabin for a little bit and sit it out, or in the water. They appear to be the only two options. My gut reaction is, like, water. I'll take my chances. I'd rather be in the water in the dark. I appreciate going for a swim in the Amazon in the middle of the night. It's not the greatest plan, but it's better than getting shot in the face.
Like, my rebuttal to that is, we've then got 4 people that are separated in the middle of the jungle, at night.
Yeah.
Having to survive the harshness of like the Amazon jungle and like the rainforest, all separated.
I've spent a bit.
I've
spent a bit of time in the jungle at night, right? And it's a pretty scary place to be when you're on your own. There's ways around that. We can have individual GPS locators,
like a Garmin InReach.
Yeah, I'm thinking Garmin InReach,
more like an.
But also the personal EPIRBs that you can have inside your life jackets for ocean work.
They'll still work on land, right?
They will still work, right? And if you activate that as soon as you hit the water, then that will send a signal that gets bounced around some satellites and eventually lands in, I think it's in Plymouth, which is where like the international kind of rescue centre is. They then push the information back to whoever is nearest to you to come and try and find you, help you, save you.
Hopefully would be the Peruvian Navy.
So you're still, in reality, as long as you keep that on you, they're going to find you, assuming that the trees don't block the satellite signal, which like, they might.
But even if you lasted till morning, you know, you make a little cubby or you've got a bug out bag and you set up a hammock and then you last till morning, and then it's right. I can see that the river's clear. The immediate threat of me getting shot is sort of no longer there. I've kind of got my surroundings. Let me take a little swim out into the middle of the river where there's no trees overhanging. Right, I've got a bit of a satellite. Now that signal's being sent. I don't know, but like
hopefully, relatively quickly you'd get help.
You just might have to survive
like you say. My issue is around dividing the team up, and again, there's pros and cons to that. If you divide the team up, you know, if you get found and you're all together, then you're all screwed, right? But if only Matt gets found, then the rest of us are all right. Although he's pretty quick through the jungles, Matt. I won't fancy their chances of chasing him down.
That's the thing. My training now shifts from having to row to having to not be the slowest on foot.
That's the oldest rule in the book. Like you don't have to be quick. You just have to be faster than the slowest person. So
are you saying that I need to stop rowing training and start getting my trainers out again?
You stick with a rowing, sunshine. Like we're having a bit of a laugh about it. It's definitely a problem. How it's going to get resolved, I don't know. But
that's our only way to kind of sift through these problems, though, right? Let's have a bit of a laugh about it.
Yeah.
I think we'll probably learn a lot over the coming weeks. Hopefully we can keep up some contact with Johnny. He can sort of let us know how things are moving. We can do a bit more research on our own. Maybe it might be that we get there and we see that actually it's kind of all blown over, right? We've still got a good 4 months between now and then.
Yeah, see, I said that. That was the first thing I said. I was like, mate, we're not going to be there for 4 months. Surely this will be done by then. But the way he described it was pretty much like the Predator film. This, like, they'll have 2 or 3 years when there's nothing, and then all of a sudden,
3 or 4 attacks or multiple,
and it will last for like 10 months or a year, and then it will stop again. So the 4-month thing's not going to help us. Basically, he said that this is now the next 12 months. Everyone's going to be on
high alert.
High alert. Everyone's going to be kind of itchy trigger fingers and all that kind of stuff. So long and short of it is, we got a lot of questions and not many answers, which we're kind of used to, right? That's kind of the world we operate in. So we need to do some work around it, work out how we're going to manage it, how we can mitigate some of the risk. And I need to speak to everyone and make sure everyone's still comfortable to do the row. Like, I'm comfy. I've made my mind up and I'm going Pelacaras or not. Even if the Pelacaras has got a speedboat and he's chasing me up the river, I'm going to get this done.
I don't really care about the Pelacaras. Like, as I said, I don't really believe in it. I think, like, more than likely it's cartel or some gold miners or some deforesters or something like that, who are doing some logging and stuff like that, who are trying to deter people. I think that's probably more likely, and I think like we'll be staying out of their way. They can stay out of our way, as far as I'm concerned. I'm not trying to get my face peeled for deterring a gold miner or a logger or whatever it might be.
The issue with that is all of those things use the river like a motorway.
Yeah.
So if you're gold mining, if you're logging, if you're running drugs, whatever you're doing, the only way of moving through that area is on the river. So even if it is any of those things,
and they're
going to be using the river at night as well. So it kind of adds in another, like,
we're witnesses to their
and that's why, that's what happened with a few years ago. There was a woman that tried to row the Amazon, and she stumbled across some cartels moving some drugs, and they were like, "Oh, witness! We don't like witnesses," so they murdered her and chopped her up and threw her in the river. So there's that side of it as well, in terms of like just being there is a problem.
And like as much as the team is about like helping locally as well.
Yeah.
Like good people like to help good people. I feel like anywhere where we go, we try to leave a bit of a positive influence and stuff
Massively,
like that.
yeah.
Like that's a big part to the team. But like respectfully, like I'm not here to solve a drug war. I'm not here to
Mate,
get in the way of any gold miners, loggers, cartels, traffickers. I'm not here to get involved in any of that. So like as far as I'm concerned, I didn't see nothing.
Exactly that, mate. And ultimately,
matter of fact, I'm blind
and deaf.
Yeah,
Like you don't want to get involved in that. You certainly don't want to get involved in a fight. The only way to win a fight is to not have one. Simple as that. So I think everything we do and all of our planning, and it has been thus far for further up the river, we're just going to have to extend that back to the beginning of, okay, well, how can we avoid it? Night vision, running silent, running dark, removing all the reflective stuff.
There's still the potential for a gunboat as well, right? It's just that the immediate, like, sort of application or like the availability of that resource seems a bit scarce.
Yeah,
that's not to say that it's not out there.
Yeah, it's certainly not impossible. And I'm going to be speaking to the Navy. So thus far, the Peruvian police, army, and Navy have been brilliant, and so is their consulate and their ambassadors on board, and really pro. I've been up to the embassy. I've sat and had tea and biscuits with him. He's such a nice guy and loves what we're doing, and he's really, really keen to help. We've also got another contact that we made down in that part of the world that is a US government employee that has access to information, people, skills that might help us as well. We also have, because we spent some time in Nauta, we've got people we know in Nauta, so we can reach out to them and say, look, like as we're getting towards Nauta,
spread the word.
Right? We are like we're coming towards you. We're like nothing but wanting to bring good. We're certainly not planning on peeling anyone's face off. So like there is things we can do, as much as it's a bit of a drama. There is 100% things that we can do. But I just thought it was interesting, and like we said this time, one of the things we've done in the past is with our projects, we have these massive kind of ups and downs of the project, and you know, stuff happens and no one ever hears about it, and no one ever hears about the work that we do in the background to like there's a massive problem and then how we go about solving that. So it was just interesting, as soon as we got this news, was to throw it out there and let people know, okay, this is the sort of thing that we deal with right in the background, and this is what we're thinking at the minute, and we're going to have to find a solution to it.
Absolutely.
So,
and if anyone listening has any solutions that we've not thought about, please do like get in contact. Like maybe you're listening to this like in that part of the world, because we're going to tag this with that kind of end of the world. Anyway, maybe like you've got some experience dealing with face peelers. I don't know, man, but like if anyone listening like has thought of any solutions while listening to this, and like I'm sure probably one of the top things we're going to say is don't do it.
Yeah,
but like as far as I'm concerned, that's not really a solution.
No, mate. I'm going to row that boat from Urimagras to Macapa if I have to row it on my own. It's as simple as that. I'm almost certain that Matt, when I speak to him, his approach is going to be, like, let's give it a go. And I think, like, Simon will be busy working. And we'll just go, yeah, fine,
Simon's
fine.
Try and sell him comms.
Yeah. Simon will be trying to say, yeah. So, like, I don't think the team's going to
be too deterred.
Yeah, I think we'll deal with it the way we do with everything, right? Which is with a smile, and like we'll be professional about it. We'll do all of the things that we can possibly do to try and mitigate the risk. We'll do some training around it. We will have a plan in place. We will look at what technology can assist us. We'll be super professional on that side, as we always are with all of the stuff we do. And then we'll then we'll just stick a smile on our faces and have a bit of a laugh about it, and try not to get too stressed about it, and go and suck it and see, right? See how it unfolds. But go and see how it unfolds with several plans and some contingency built in. That's that's the way we operate, right? We mitigate as much risk as we possibly can on all of the things we do. It's just that at the moment I don't quite know like how to do that.
What that looks like.
Yeah, but we'll work it out. Right?
We've got time.
We got time, and
that's the beauty.
We'll work it out. But it's lovely for people to be able to, to be able to hear this and probably think, what the fuck?
Oh, no.
Like,
and so that's probably a good time to kind of like introduce the fact that we are doing this for Great Ormond Street Hospital. We are trying to raise funds. If you have listened to this and you think these guys are total nutcases for even trying to attempt this and to navigate all of this risk and to try and mitigate it, and you're inspired by the story and you want to donate to help the good people of Great Ormond Street and the children that are admitted to Great Ormond Street, then the link is going to be in the show notes to our Just Giving page. Please do follow that link. Please do donate. Please do share it with your friends and family, and then that way you know that you're helping a good cause, whether we make it back or not.
Mate, that was brilliant. Right up to the last sentence. Yeah. Ultimately, I think hopefully, like giving an insight to stuff like this. It makes it makes people understand the story better, right? And I think it will garner a little bit of interest, and I hope that people that listen to this might feel the need to tell their friends and share it, and basically have a bit of a chuckle. And like a few people are going to go, well, I'll give that a follow because I kind of want to see how that pans out.
Yeah.
But all of that aids the fundraising, it aids the trying to get the story out there. So it's all worthwhile. And hopefully in 5 months' time, we'll be sat in Macapa with a beer in our hand, laughing about this. Like
with a T-shirt saying "We survived the Pelacaras."
Yeah, basically exactly that, right? So that's the update, and we'll be back, no doubt, shortly with some more.
Perfect stuff. Thanks very much for your time, Darren, and I hope everyone enjoyed the episode. We will be back very shortly with more updates, and make sure you follow in, make sure you're sharing, and make sure you're donating. But that's all from me, that's all from Darren, and we look forward to catching up with you next time. Peace.